don't know the exact cause of dementia, but we know factors. We have identified the risk factors that increases a person's chance of getting dementia, and even the medical conditions that predispose somebody to succumb into dementia or increase the chance of developing dementia. An easy way to remember these 5 fundamental factors that we can modify, we can tweak so that we don't get dementia, or at least reduce the risk of dementia. Neuro, N-E-U-R-O. N for nutrition, E for exercise, U for unwind, which is stress management, R for restorative sleep, and O for optimization. First in the list are the green leafy vegetables. Berries are the only fruit associated with slowing down cognitive decline. So there's an incremental increase in consumption. Let's say they say that 100 grams of fruits and vegetables per day, it results in 13% reduction in cognitive impairment. What about exercise and brain health? What do we know? 639 elderly subjects, and that demonstrated a 40% lower risk of cognitive impairment and dementia. 40, just by exercising. But it's also becoming clearer that not all exercise are the same. Now, exercise-wise, here's the recommendation. Hello everyone, this is Dr. Adelita and welcome to the Lifestyle Changer MD. Regardless of where you are in your health journey, know that the topics we discuss here are carefully chosen to resonate with you so that you can take immediate and appropriate action. This show aims to help you become proactive, self-accountable, and loving person instead of a passive recipient of our broken healthcare system. What we want to happen is hopefully we can awaken you up and realize that you are the most powerful cure for whatever chronic disease you have. This video is a part 2 of the 3-part series for dementia topic. If you haven't watched the first video, I encourage you to do so. That one, the first video I did last week, I talk about the common misconception about dementia, what life looks like for a person with dementia, and know the signs. As a family member, know the signs and symptoms of dementia and the importance of early diagnosis. In this video, moving on, I will teach you the simple things that you can do in your diet and in your lifestyle that will help you decrease the risk of getting dementia and or improve the life of your loved one with dementia. These things that I'm going to teach you about is based on the interventional studies that were done. So it's evidence-based. The beauty of what we're going to talk about today is that there's really not so much needed as far as, high-tech diagnostic tests and medications and costs and everything. These are very simple tools that you can use, that you can try and implement in your life and to your loved one who has dementia. Now, here's where we stand. Here's where we stand about dementia. We don't know the exact cause of dementia, but we know the factors. We have identified the risk factors that increases a person's chance of getting dementia, and even the medical conditions that predispose somebody to succumb into dementia or increase the chance of developing dementia. After decades of studying dementia, research and pouring billions of investments in finding the cure, unfortunately, we have not found the cure of dementia, and we could not even prevent the rate of dementia. And to be specific, I've mentioned in last video that based on uh, the fact, every 64 seconds, the a person is diagnosed with dementia in the United States. Every 64 seconds, that's every minute, there's a person diagnosed with dementia. That's how fast the rate is climbing for dementia. So clearly, no matter how much billions of dollars we're throwing into research and formulating medicines, we're still not you know doing a good job with curtailing this disease. Now, the bright side and the light at the end of this tunnel is this. That's what I'm really excited to talk about, is that the current studies now on dementia are focusing on the effects of lifestyle and diet on individuals at risk for Alzheimer's dementia. And what they found is that a healthy lifestyle can substantially lower the risk of Alzheimer's dementia in individuals older than 65 years old. That's in the study. And there are five fundamental factors that can significantly reduce the risk of dementia. And neurologists, doctors Sharzai, there are a couple in their article, Lifestyle Intervention and Alzheimer's Disease, suggested that an easy way to remember these five fundamental factors that we can modify, we can tweak so that we don't get dementia, or at least reduce a risk of dementia. These five factors, easy to remember if we remember this acronym. You can write this down. Acronym NEURO, NEURO. N for nutrition, E for exercise, U for unwind, which is stress management, R for restorative sleep, and O for optimization. And we're referring to the social and mental activity that optimizes a person's brain function. Now, let's start with nutrition. Okay? Nutrition, diet, food. You probably have heard about Mediterranean diet. Mhm. Mediterranean diet, that's a diet that includes plenty of fruits, plenty of vegetables, legumes, whole grains, and healthy fats like olive oil. Right? Now, in that diet, fish and poultry are consumed in moderation, while red meat is limited. Now, then there's also a second diet, another diet called the DASH diet, DASH. It stands for Dietary Approach to Stop Hypertension. This is a diet that was specifically designed to help control or lower blood pressure. And this diet includes consuming plenty of fruits, vegetables, lean meat, lean proteins, whole grains, and a low fat diet. But these diet, the DASH diet, is very specific in limiting foods with high saturated fats and cholesterol and sodium. Now, what's interesting is that they kind of marry these two diets, the Mediterranean diet and the DASH diet, um, in this study that the experts designed for dementia. The diet is called MIND, MIND diet. It stands for Mediterranean Dash, Intervention for Neurodegenerative Delay. And so the MIND diet is a combination of the DASH and the Mediterranean diets, and that was created by Martha Morris at Rush University, where they did a study. The MIND diet is designed to include the foods in these two diets that they found are particularly beneficial for brain health. Okay, and later you will know what in the Mediterranean and DASH diet did they exclude or modify in the MIND diet, because not everything they collected and and put into my diet. There are also some foods in the Mediterranean and DASH diet that they found are less beneficial for brain health. So they kind of decrease or eliminated that. So now let's talk first about the foods that is in the mind diet um, that they found are very beneficial for brain health. First in the list are the green leafy vegetables. These green leafy vegetables are very rich in lutein, folate, vitamin E, polyphenols, beta carotene, and all of these are associated with brain health. And what they found in their study is that those that consume 1 to 2 green leafy vegetables, servings of green leafy vegetables per day, in that study, uh, experience a rate of lower decline in cognitive function, and that's equivalent to being 11 years younger. Can you imagine that? So 1 to 2 servings of green leafy vegetables a day, that slow down the rate of cognitive decline, which is equivalent to 11 years younger. That's really impressive. So and then they compare that to those who rarely eat, or rarely consume or never consume green leafy vegetables. These people eating more vegetables are slowing down the rate of um, cognitive decline and making them more, um, at least 11 years younger in terms of a brain age. Now, green leafy vegetables, okay? Don't forget that. The second food of importance for brain health are the berries. Berries. According to the nurses' health studies, berries are the only fruit associated with slowing down um, cognitive decline. Slow down cognitive decline, the berries. And that's because of the antioxidants that berries um, have, and they're just exceedingly higher than the other fruits. Now, two things, all right? Don't forget green leafy vegetables, 1 to 2 servings a day, more if possible. You'll know later why. And then second are the berries. Now, some foods, as I've mentioned, included in the original DASH and Mediterranean diet are not included in the MIND diet. And these are number one, um, high consumption of fish in the diet. So the fish in those diets, they can do two servings per day, and 6 fish meals per week in both diets. That one they did not include in the mind diet. In fact, they cut it down and they recommend no more than 1 to 2 fish meals per week. That is sufficient to lower dementia risk. Right? That's one modification. The second modification is high consumption of fruits. They say in both diets, they were recommending to as high as 3 to 4 servings of fruits. But in the mind diet, they found that consuming, at that level much is there's no negative impact, but there's also not significant impact on brain health. Another thing is that they've also not included the dairy consumption, potatoes, and as I've mentioned, high fish meals. All right. Now, as far as these topic on or issue on fish meals, some people are really into that and find it difficult to, um, you know, eliminate the fish in the diet when you're on a whole food plant based diet. And although they said that the minimal consumption of fish in the diet can somehow have positive impact to brain health, there's also evidence that the benefits of fish, often highlighted in the Mediterranean diet, may be related to the higher concentration of omega 3, which can be found in fish. Or plant based sources such as chia seeds, ground flax seeds, walnuts, hemp seeds, and those things. So again, not that there's an argument that for fish, what they're seeing could be possible explanation as to why fish, a little bit of fish in the diet can have a positive impact on brain health is not just on the meat per se of the fish, but mainly from the omega 3, um, which we can also get in plant-based sources. Now, so that's the mind diet. But if you are going to ask me, what are there studies out there that have looked into the relation of diet to brain health? What else can we extract from these studies that we can, um, help improve our brain health? There's this one, a meta analysis of 9 studies that included about 31,000 plus participants, and they found that increased consumption of vegetables and fruits was associated with a significant reduction in their risk of cognitive impairment and dementia. And what's so interesting is that they found there's a dose response effect, which means that the more vegetables you consume, the more fruits and vegetables you consume, the lower the risk of cognitive impairment or dementia. So there's an incremental increase in consumption. Let's say they say that 100 gram of fruits and vegetables per day, it results in 13% reduction in cognitive impairment and dementia risk. That's already pretty significant, right? 13% reduction in your risk of getting dementia, um, with just 100 gram of regular vegetables and fruits consumption per day. And the more you eat of these fruits and vegetables, the higher your number goes up, meaning 13% may become 26% or 40% reduction. It's the reduction, the lesser the chance of getting dementia. So nutrition wise, here's the recommendation to reduce the risk for dementia. Write this down. Consume more plants of all varieties, especially green leafy vegetables, whole grains, berries, right? Cruciferous vegetables, spices, herbs, nuts, seeds, and green tea. Another, while you consume most of those foods, remember to reduce what? Refined carbohydrates and processed sugars. Examples are sweets, pastries, sweetened beverages, right? It's very high in sugar, simple sugar, and bad carbohydrates. So reduce this consumption. There's another thing you want to reduce. Reduce saturated fat. And saturated fat is very high in animal products and meat products. So reduce animal product consumption, meat, poultry, egg, dairy, because they too not only have saturated fat but cholesterol as well. The higher your cholesterol goes, the higher your risk for cardiovascular disease and risk for stroke, and that can increase your risk for dementia, right? Another thing food you want to reduce in the diet, processed foods. And when you reduce the processed food, you can automatically reduce the consumption of salt, right? So, reduce fat, cholesterol, salt, processed foods, increase plant sources of all varieties, particularly green leafy vegetables and berries. Include there too are whole grains, legumes, nuts, seeds, lentils. All right, that's for nutrition. Let's move on to exercise. What about exercise and brain health? What do we know? Um, in the last 20 years, we have been learning a lot about the regenerative power of exercise on the human brain. There's a study that they look at the effects of exercise on 639 elderly subjects, and that demonstrated a 40% lower risk of cognitive impairment and dementia. 40 just by exercising. 40% reduction in the risk of dementia and cognitive impairment. And then they also saw 60% lower risk of vascular dementia, vascular, circulatory related dementia. And stroke is number one. So if you can reduce the risk of stroke, you can reduce the risk of vascular dementia by 60% just by exercising. What's interesting is that we are also knowing that exercise has benefits to keeping our brain healthy, yes, but it's also becoming clearer that not all exercise are the same. Not all exercise is the same. So, what type of exercise then? Let me mention this meta analysis of 16 studies that included 160,000 participants. And what they found is that the aerobic exercise type is very important for general and brain health. And examples of aerobic exercise are jogging, walking, running, dancing, swimming, any repetitive movement of the body in rhythmic movement done regularly that increases heart rate and demand for oxygen. So that's good for the heart and the lungs. Any activity that are repetitive with rhythmic movement increases the heart rate, improves your breathing. That's aerobic exercise. And if you do that, there's a 40% lower risk of dementia and cognitive impairment, 60% reduction in vascular dementia. Just do that regularly. Aerobic exercise. Okay? Then what else? They compare the effect of intensive exercise, vigorous intensive exercise versus just stretching, stretching the joints and kind of reeling movement. And they put it to the test for people with mild cognitive impairment, not dementia yet, just in between normal and dementia. Uh, Kind of borderline. They compared the effect of intensive, vigorous exercise to just stretching at your comfortable level. Guess what they found? The intensive exercise group, they are the ones that demonstrated increased brain size, increased blood flow to the frontal lobes of the brain. The front lobe of the brain. And guess what, guys? The frontal lobes of the brain are responsible or involved in our motor movement or function, memory, initiation, problem solving skills, calculation, judgment, impulse control, social behavior, a lot of things intertwine that's actually affected for the most part in patients with dementia. Guess what? With intensive aerobic exercise, they're able to demonstrate that there's increased blood flow to this part of the brain, and that's why they see improvement in cognitive function in these people. And then they see improvement in the overall quality of life in these people. Can you imagine your sense of judgment, your logical thinking, your critical thinking, your memory recall much better? You're able to initiate sensible action and discussion and communication with family members. That's a whole you know different ball game in a positive way. I mean, and all because you are increasing blood flow to that part of the brain that controls all those function. By what? Intensive exercise. Study proven. Now, exercise wise, here's the recommendation: incorporate routine aerobic exercise, such as brisk walking. Not just walking, like walking in the park kind of pace, but brisk walking. But make sure, guys, when you do this, you have the consulted with your doctor so that you know if you're safe to do that. Okay, safety first, of course, is our priority. But before you do this aerobic intensive exercise, just make sure you are safe to do that. And so consult your doctor. But routine aerobic exercise, brisk walking, jogging, biking, swimming, dancing, those things, do that regularly. And the target is 150 minutes per week. Okay, let's put that in a practical perspective, shall we? Let me help you. You can structure this exercise routine in a way that's doable for you, fit for your lifestyle. Let me give you an example. So, let's say you can only exercise 5 times a week, okay? So you divide 150 minutes, because that's the requirement for the whole week. 150 divided by 5, you're left with 30. So that's 30 minutes of exercise 5 times a week. Well, what if you're retired and you have 7 days a week free to exercise? So 150 divided by 7, that's 22 minutes. So do that exercise 22 minutes per session, 7 days a week, right? So find that balance where you can do it sustainably and regularly. Okay? I don't recommend getting the 150 one-time rundown exercise just once a week. I prefer that we spread it out throughout the week. Okay? Now, second advice or recommendation in exercise, you incorporate strength training exercises, especially leg strengthening exercises. That's 3 to 5 days per week. Experts also recommend that maybe the simplest thing to do or to start on is just create an environment where there's movement throughout the day. Like design your activities throughout the day where you know you're not going to be sitting or lying. All my videos are recorded and available on my website, Facebook, and YouTube channel. You're also now able to listen to me in my podcast in Apple Podcast and Spotify. All the social media platforms, you can easily find me by just typing the Lifestyle Changer MD. That's me. You'll find me in these platforms, and feel free to replay the videos, replay the recorded audios, and don't forget to share and be the first one to watch our new episode here in the Facebook group. It's exclusive first episode show in our Facebook group, The Lifestyle Changer MD. Invite friends to join us here every Sunday. That's 8 a.m. Pacific time. And to my kababayans in the Philippines, that's Sunday also, but 11 p.m. I'll see you next week. Bye!